Hello, 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 and welcome back to Tea, Coffee, Water. I am your host, Natalie Poindexter, and y'all, this is the launch of our first water series, and I couldn't imagine someone to do this with better than the person that's on the other side of this screen. And so, Leanne, thank you for being here.
Oh my God, thank you for inviting me.
I,
I'm
I
gonna
feel
have to live up to the hype now.
Oh yeah, you do. Oh yeah, you do. And I mean, just as we go into this journey of this series, I feel like more and more we're going to talk about this, but from the moment I just like pushed record, I've got this warm flow of energy happening through my hands, and if that is any inkling to like what our conversations will be like, you guys are in for a treat. And so I'm doing something a little unusual. I typically do this like bio, and I read a whole little introduction prior to our first session. But the only thing that I've done prior to us launching is give a teaser. And I've just said basically there's this fantastic woman that I met virtually, but I feel like I've known her for decades, if not in another lifetime, in New Zealand, and she's just transformative. And that was it. Like I told everyone to just like, that's all you get. That's the nugget of everything. And you have to come and join us in order to learn more about Leanne. And so I wanted to say, like, so we met what, 2 months ago, 3 months ago?
Properly, yes.
Yeah.
Properly 3 months ago, yeah.
And I think, okay, so I'm going to go down a list of things that we've said in some form or fashion. And I'm like, oh, yeah, this thing. And you're like, one moment. And you come back and you're like, do you mean like this? Or do you mean like this? Or do you mean like this? And so we've had glasses, shoes, perfumes, earrings, hair, tattoos, necklaces, speaking engagements, big scale vision. I don't even I could keep going, I think.
Yeah, you've forgotten Roy Sean Murphy, which
Oh
is
my
like so specific, right? So specific.
Oh, I don't know another person who I've said that name to. And like this wasn't just like a oh y'all, like I have to say, I feel like I've given a little teaser about meeting Leanne, and I've said this and I can continue to say it. Like, have you ever met a person? They're not your doppelganger, right? They're just like this other image of yourself that you didn't even know existed. Like you project the same energy, and it's just this like cosmic feeling that happens when you meet a human. And if you haven't experienced it, I couldn't have told you like this would have been the thing that I would have experienced, right? Because I remember when we first were in the same realm, and it was a Pick My Brain community event. And were you still in London then?
I was still in London. So it was over 6 months ago now, or about six
Really?
months ago now. Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh. And you've had this artwork in your background.
That's
And I
right.
remember you like chimed in for something, and I just stared at the screen. Like I don't even know what you said. I was just mesmerized. I'm like, who's this woman? Like, and this artwork behind her. And like it was just this whole moment. So I know I've spewed about how fantastically amazing you are, but you're hailing from New Zealand, and like I feel like I have learned and now become obsessed with learning more and more about New Zealand. But where are you? Where are you from? How did I know we mentioned London, and now we're saying New Zealand, and like you're a woman of the world. Um, in like, if I could wrap up everything about you,
Hmm.
which I can't. There's like no way for me to put a sentence, paragraph, or anything around that. But can you just give us a little oomph about like where you are, what you're doing now, and your journey to how you got to where you are?
Oh golly, that is a lot. That's a lot. So do
We
you want me
can
to
like
talk about
mush
where
it
I'm from first or where I'm local?
wherever it feels right, wherever it feels right. And you don't have to go into like how you got like exactly where you are, because I know we are going to be going into those deeper. But like, if you want to give
Yeah,
us like super high level
sure.
teasers.
Gallup. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to start. So in the Maori culture, so the Maori people are the indigenous people of Aotearoa, New Zealand. They have a tradition that's called pepeha, and you always introduce yourself with your mountains,
Mm.
your river or your lake. So, your mountains, your water, and your canoe or your waka, or in Samoan. So, first of all, I'm mixed race. Both of my parents migrated to New Zealand from their homes of birth. My mother from Sale in Manchester. So she sailed out here on a ship that would have taken weeks back then. My dad from a little village called Matawha'a that's in Lefanga, Samoa. Um, the same Samoa, like The Rock, is the most famous Samoan on the planet. Most people know who he is.
Mm.
So, I share heritage with him. So they both came to New Zealand, mum on a ship and dad on a ship. I
Mm.
don't know the names of those ships, but that is my equivalent of the waka that I come from. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Two parts of the world, two very different parts of the world.
Mm.
Mm. The maunga or the mountain is Waitakere, and that is in West Auckland in New Zealand in the North Island. And it's full of native bush. So it is like verdant, natural greenery.
Mm.
And we grew up on a 3-acre section in New Zealand, in West Auckland, in a place called Titirangi. And 2 acres of that was natural native bush. So my sister and I have a one sibling, a sister. We would be running around like, Dad would let us out in the morning. We'd be running around the property pretty much the whole day, right? Until he told us to come back in,
So
right?
the street
So
lights came on. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, girls, come on, come inside now. Because we had loads of fruit trees on the property as well. So that kind of gives a bit of a background for why I am so nature, very much nature orientated, because I grew up in New Zealand native bush.
Mm-hmm.
So Maunga and my river is the Waitakere, and also just the area around there, like there's surf beaches like Piha that has a place called Lion's Rock.
Mm.
So it's this big rock that looks like a lion that's sat
Mm.
there in the sea. So yeah, that's my pepeha. I am Samoan, English. So from the womb of, my English mother, from the seed of my Samoan father, and grown in the Papatuanuku, who is Mother Earth of Aotearoa, New Zealand. Those are my roots.
And so now you have this amazing background that's like every time we have a conversation, I'm like, what don't you do? Right? Like, you're like, oh, yes. And oh, by the way, I've done that. And I feel like the next thing I'm going to come up with, you're like, oh, actually, I've created that. It was 6 years ago. It's just sitting in reserve. I'll dust it off and like bring that back to you. Because I mean, what we've talked about leadership development, and you're like, oh, I can dust off some old corporate stuff, and I'm like, oh, art, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna dust off this idea that I had from 3 years ago, and like I'm like, oh yeah, the collective, and you're like, yes, actually I was thinking. And so we have this moment of where you are now, and I think it's like super interesting that you went from this very like linear strategic um development brain to like this creative organic um natural flowing artistic space. And I'm just curious, right? Like when someone is transitioning from one version of themselves into a new version, what is that like what is, I mean, I feel like you're becoming a new person. And I know we talk a lot about like, or we will be talking a lot about health, wellness, transformation, growth. What has that been? Because I know, I feel like you have a journey and we'll learn so much more from you through our entire series. um what has that transition been like?
Am I allowed to swear?
Of course.
Okay. It's been fucking tough, you know? It's been equally tough and joyful, right? So you can't have one without the other.
Mm-hmm.
And, that I would say that's probably one of the biggest lessons. And it's really interesting, that I've got all this shadow play going on for our first session, because it really is about integrating shadow.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had to go. So let me do a very quick gallop for those listening, because, Natalie knows my story, but you guys listening don't, or you guys watching don't. So very quickly, I was a corporate go-getter. Moved from New Zealand to London. I lived in London for 23 years. So, I consider myself as much a Londoner as I am a New Zealander Kiwi. And I was always like really striving forward. What I would say is my yang, really working on my yang, my masculine, very cerebral. And I ended up with a cancer diagnosis
Mm-hmm.
in March of 2015. Mm. And that pretty much gives you a big kick up the ass to look at what you're doing with your life,
Yeah.
really reassess what's important in
Mm-hmm.
life
Mm-hmm.
and not sweat the small stuff,
Mm.
right? It also makes you, you really need to excavate the shadow,
Mm.
right? Excavate it, shine a light on it, give it a hug, and go, it's okay, you know, I'm going to accept this part of myself,
Yeah.
and it's okay that that's part of me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's bringing those two things together. And as a result of having that kind of, what I call, there's a saying, mm, uh, when do you truly start to live?
Mm.
And the answer to that is when you face death,
Mm. Mm.
right? Whether literally, like I had to, or metaphorically,
Yeah.
because there's Natalie and the group that we met in, and a
Yeah.
subgroup of that, there's a lot of death doulas in that group.
Mm-hmm.
So they know that, when people plan for their death, and like that is a form of facing death,
Mm-hmm.
you then actually look at life, and life becomes more rich as a
Mm-hmm.
result of you looking at death,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So coming back to the yang and the yin, I am learning to be yin,
Mm.
to go with the flow. And it's not easy. It's not easy, right? And
No.
you need to kind of like you either need to give yourself a kick up the backside, or someone else will give you a kick up the backside for you, right?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
I'm sure Natalie will be kicking me up the backside at some point, like I've had to kick her up the backside recently, right?
Yeah. No, and I appreciate, because I feel like, every time we talk, I'm like, stay focused, Natalie. But then, like, it really does, our conversations truly just flow into a space that we're supposed to be in. And
Yeah,
I mentioned we met in a Pick My Brain community event, or at least saw each other in that space. And Pick My Brain is this fantastic platform. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're interested in maybe delving into that space and you're not really sure how to start to tell your story, fantastic thing to do. Take a look at it. For anybody curious, Maxine Cunningham, she's a wonderful human, CEO of Pick
amazing.
My
Yeah,
Brain. Oh my gosh, right? Like
yeah,
her vision is just It's powerful. It really is.
It's the future. Her vision is the future. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I messaged her one day and I told her, had I not taken a chance and found this community by happenstance, like I never would have met some of the people that I have, especially some of the people who are literally changing my life. And
Yeah.
her goal, her mission is to drive conversations.
Yeah.
And that is just something that I've been talking about this year of like connecting responsibly, building relationships. And that's exactly what she's doing on a global scale. But it's so interesting. Like we were never in a breakout group.
No, I know. And
We were never.
because I want to talk to that woman.
And so when we did our small group of Meet the World's Women, which is a portion of Pick My Brain, and I will never forget. And again, I think this is like exactly what you said about shadow work. You messaged me in our WhatsApp group. I had said something about like starting to think about this podcast thing, and you said we should be on I should be a guest on your podcast. And I was like, oh, she's really bold.
I don't think I said that. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have said I should be. I would have said, I'd really love to be.
It was very nice. Yes, it was. And what I heard was we need to talk. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I'm ready. Legit, right? Like that. I don't think I've ever told you that.
Did you really think that? Oh my God.
I was like, oh, jeez. I don't know if I'm ready for this moment. I don't. And I did it. I chicken footed out. Like I did. I was like, I put a heart on it. I was like, oh, thank you. And then we went through another session. I'm so serious. We went through another session of
I didn't realize this. So everyone listening, I didn't realize this. It's the first time I'm hearing this. Go ahead. Sorry,
True confessions of Natalie to Leanne. And so then there was this moment where we were supposed to meet each other, right? We were having this like regrouping, and you messaged me and you were like, we're meeting. And I was like, oh boy, okay, I'm going to get ready for this. I don't know what's going to happen. And I don't know what was in my brain, right, that was telling me to like be prepared. But we had a session and it was supposed to be 30 minutes and it was like 2 hours.
And the rest.
And then every single time from like then on, I mean, like, it's a marathon. It's not even like we have to find the time. We're like, oh, I think we can fill the space. It's like, no, I think if we had actually started hitting record 4 meeting sessions ago, we would probably have like
a whole year's worth of podcast. Yeah.
12 hours of like, and I appreciate it because there are those moments. And I think what I was battling, because I don't think it clicked until you just said, you've given me the kick in the pants. And I feel like, especially on this journey with our series, is this whole conversation of like embracing your authentic self.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a little bit uncertain if I was, and I don't know where this was coming from, right? Of like embracing my authentic self and being able to hear the things I needed to hear. But I relate it back to when I tell folks I'm connecting responsibly. And I know I've shared this with you before, like there's someone I want you to meet, but I'm not sure she's ready to meet you yet. And I feel like that was what I went through before I met you. Like, she's a little too sexy, like, and like powerful and bold. And I'm serious. Like every time you would like chime in on like Pick My Brain, you would be like, and I have like this mic drop moment. And I feel like everybody was like we were holding our breath and like listening in intently. And then like afterwards, everyone, like, Max would be like, yes, Lee, like that is exactly what we're hoping to hear. And I think like I have like been pulling together this question, but when you are giving your shadow a hug. You're giving that piece of you a hug. And I know over the past couple of days, we've been talking about this a lot of like, what is this messaging? Creating a space to have the conversation around shadow work and like having a conversation around like embracing your truest form of yourself. How did you find that?
Oh, golly, you know, to discover yourself, you really need to go, I mean, it's very often repeated, but it's so true. You always have to go back to your childhood,
Mm,
always. And a lot of the embracing your authentic self needs to start with forgiving yourself.
mm,
And that means you need to go back and nourish that inner child, that really soft, vulnerable part of you, right?
yeah.
So, my mum left when I was only a year old,
Mm,
and my sister was about 2. She left us with our father. Our
mm,
father brought us up. So the wound that I always have to go back to is abandonment
mm,
and rejection, because that's one of the most sacred relationships
mm.
is between a mother and their child or children. So I've had to do a lot of work around that. Um, so yeah, embracing your authentic self is really about digging deep into what triggers you,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
And what lights you up,
mm,
right?
mm,
So, whenever you're feeling annoyed, which I used to feel annoyed a lot of the time, I
mm,
realize, once I've done all the shadow work, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I spent most of my life feeling really pissed off about things and squashing it, you know,
mhm, mhm,
and not looking at the lessons or the reasons I was being so triggered. And
mm.
every single time it always leads back to, abandonment and yeah, this feeling of rejection. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered your question.
No, you did. And I
Okay.
want to say this too. None of this is rehearsed. Like we don't have a
No.
script. This is like I also told Leanne probably like right before, like, I'm just gonna do kind of an interview thing. She's like, okay, I don't know what you're gonna ask me. I'm like, girl, I don't know
Yeah.
either. We're gonna figure it out when we go through it. And and I feel like this truly goes back to, because little do you know, that is exactly what happened to me. But my mother was still in my life.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
No, I didn't know that.
I know,
I don't know if you swap. Oh my God, we
we
haven't even gone
never
here yet.
we've never even talked about this, and like
No.
processing what the difference is, right? And like how to be comfortable in that choice that was made by someone else.
Yeah.
That was a life choice. I could not, but that rejection.
Yeah.
And why me? Why do I have to feel like this, right? Because this isn't what I've seen on TV or what my friends, show me and things like that, right? And so um it I have to tell, like, if you're listening to this and you have yet to find a human, doesn't matter gender, whatever it might be, that when they say something and then you're like, that can't be real. Like, really? And you're like, no, when I tell you I can relate, like, I absolutely can relate. And I guess the point I'm making is you don't realize you needed a person who got you
Yeah.
until you find a person who gets you.
Yeah.
And
100%.
right, like I mean, right before we started recording, right, we had this like, now mind you, also, folks, last night Leanne and I were on a call for like 4 hours, 4.5 hours. I don't even know.
Yeah.
And the minute we got on the call, I was like, I have so much to tell you. She's like, and I have so much to hear, and I have so much to receive, and I have so much to tell you too, right? And it's this just like, it's this exciting energy, right? But then it's also this moment where, I've sent you messages and I'm like, I don't know if I'm just maybe reaching. And the knowledge bombs you drop, like it's just like mic drop moment after mic drop moment. And I'm like, and it's so funny because we were talking about what we would wear when we would come on to the episodes, right? And you were like, I don't want to be too much. And I was like, girl, hello, hello.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I could show up in like a velvet cape. And you were like, get out, because I can totally pull out a velvet cape too. Not a problem. And like, I don't know anyone else other than obviously whoever shopped at the same Etsy shop that I was shopping at, who's like, yeah, absolutely. We can pull out capes. We can pull out capes. Not a problem. We want to pull out some like glasses, like, and it's just that like energy that is so amazing. And also the kick in the pants, it doesn't hurt as much when you like it is like a moment of reflection though. I will say that, because there are times where I'm like, Leanne, I have this brilliant idea. And you're like, well, do you? Is it really that brilliant? And you're like, maybe. But I think the part about all of that is it's this reminder of like going back to yourself, of exploring yourself, of having those conversations. And I know that like the other topics that we're going to talk about, of like tapping into your superpowers, your health journey and healing journey, like that connection. And I feel like there are ideas and conversations that we've had that have just been so I think I don't know if the word's nuclear that I want to go for, but they're just like, they're never a small idea.
No.
And that
Profound.
like, yes, yes. And I'm curious when, transitioning from your corporate world, right, your yang, to like tapping into this yin version of yourself and this like true form of you. We've talked, I don't know, we haven't talked a lot about imposter syndrome, but
Right. Yep.
when you're transitioning into that new form and version of yourself, do you ever have issues with thinking you're an imposter in your own version of your new self?
Golly. I would say so. One step in my career was being private secretary for the Minister of Social Welfare in the New Zealand government. So, I was walking the halls of power, my 27-year-old self,
I'm sure she was in a
and
fabulous outfit.
she wore lime green suits, because man, everyone was walking around in blimmin' navy and dark. And I'm thinking, oh, you got to lighten stuff up here, a full red suit as well, Yes. Sorry, I'm getting distracted.
No, I
You're
know.
distracting me.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Focus. Focus.
You're
Yes, yes, yes.
distracting me. Okay, so imposter syndrome.
Mm.
So I've definitely I know what that feels like, because when I was successful in getting that role at the time, probably people that knew me wouldn't have thought that I was like, oh my God, it felt like a real reach for me to go for that role. And then when I got the role, the night before, I woke up in the middle of the night. I hardly ever wake up in the middle of the night because I'm really lucky. I have very good sleep,
Mm.
right? So I woke up in the middle of the night, and it's that whole self-doubt, imposter. It's like, oh my God, who the fuck do I think I am?
Yeah.
I'm going
Yeah.
to be going into this job. Oh my God, what am I
Mm.
doing? Do they
Mhm.
know that I,
Mhm.
do they Do they
Mhm.
realize what they've done? I don't know what I'm doing. You know, all of that self-talk that comes in, right? It comes in
Mhm.
a rush. So I know what you're talking about with imposter syndrome because that was the worst I've ever suffered it because, you
Mhm.
know, the day before I was going to start that job. And of course, I went and did the job and it was fine,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It was absolutely fine. But that, it's almost like crippling self-doubt,
Mhm.
right? Um, I don't get that so much these days. And this is one of the gifts of having to face your own mortality. Like I said,
Mhm.
you don't sweat the small stuff anymore
Mhm. Mhm.
because you're so focused on what matters
Mhm.
that you kind of don't have time for imposter syndrome.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
It does. No, and
Yeah.
I relate that to over the past like what 3 or 4 days, I've been sending you dream
Yes.
synopsis. Yeah, okay, listen, I've been having these in my opinion, crazy dreams. Like I'm remembering them from start to finish. They're very vivid. There's a whole lot of things happening. There's like consistent imagery that's happening within my dreams. And I'm like, okay, if I share this with anyone, I'm gonna share it with Leanne. Like, she's not gonna think that I'm a lunatic by sharing these things. And what a quinky dink. She doesn't. She doesn't think I'm a lunatic. And so, the piece that I think about of like transformation again, because we're going to talk about this for the next few episodes, but then also like it's not going to stop there. I already know it. And spoiler alert, around episode 30, be prepared for another opportunity to listen to Tea Coffee Water. And I'll just throw that out there and I'll just keep randomly throwing those things out there so that everyone is like, what the hell is she talking about? So I digress. But there's this like moment of, am I, this is going to sound interesting, I don't know, but am I ready to be me? Like as I'm transforming into this next best version of my authentic self, there's this almost like internal self-talk of doubt of like, this is the next person I'm becoming. Like, and I'm becoming it whether I'm ready to or not. And I think that's my curiosity of imposter syndrome, right? Of just like in becoming this version of you. Did you ever have to experience that? Like, am I ready to become her? Like, I know having, because I've not faced my own mortality in this, at that magnitude, right? Like, it's more of a education and reflection of like, how, if I haven't faced that, how can I navigate it, right? Or if I haven't had that experience yet, um, what, how could, or advice, maybe I wouldn't say like specifically like diagnosing me, right? But like, I know there's more folks listening that are probably on this precipice of terrifying greatness
Mm, mm.
and navigating that. And I'm just curious, like, have you had to navigate that transforming into this version of you?
Oh my God, I love that you've used the word navigate. So the short answer to your question is yes.
Mm.
And I have only recently realized that what I am is a star navigator,
Mm.
like my people before me. And instead of navigating the oceans out there, like the vast Pacific, I'm actually navigating my internal ocean
Mm.
and using my own stars, i.e., my astrology chart, the star map at my birth, to help me
Mm.
navigate my own internal waters.
Mm. Mm.
So, yeah, and that's really interesting because we've now introduced water into the conversation. which is water. So there's a word for water in Māori. It's wai, and the word for what you would say in English is spirit is wairua. So rua is the word for two waters. So there was this paper, and I actually did a little video on my YouTube about this, the creation story. Papa Tuanuku, which is Mother Earth, and Rangi is the short version of the name for the Father Sky. So they were pushed apart by their children, right? So their children could get some light. Okay. I mean, it's a parallel story to many creation stories around the world, right? Where it comes back to water is there was this line. I wish I could remember the words, and I wish I brought it with me to this talk. But anyway,
you can throw it in the show notes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good idea.
Yeah.
So it's something along the lines of crying for the loss of his love, Papa, you know, when rain falls down to earth, right? And Papa has her own waters, you know, from deep within the earth. We've got the deep wells and, you know, natural wells and sources of water. And it's about the water that's coming. There's two waters. There's water that comes from the sky and water that comes from the earth. And the water coming from the sky is the expression of love from Rangi to Papa. So this was the realization I had, was that, you know, when we're drinking water, we're actually drinking an expression of love. And that's for us to integrate and bring in. And there's and this is something else I've discovered since, is that there is divine intelligence in water. Water is not a drink. It's a form of divine intelligence that we take in and becomes part of our waters, right? Because we're by molecular count, over 90% water.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So we are a living, like, flow, you could say, of divine intelligence and love.
You know, when I was like coming up with the title of this podcast, and I've explained this before of why it's 3 different beverages and why each beverage has its own kind of mantra. Oh, not kind of, but why it has its own mantra, and why I selected them. And I think just on a deeper level with water, I spent my first, I don't know, I got a job at like 15 and was a lifeguard. And most folks just do it for a summer. But I did it for 15 years because I loved it. I loved.
Amazing. I didn't realize you did it that long.
Yeah. Well, it's probably like 14 because I stopped right before I finished school. And so, but the goal, the point of that was like, I was able to teach people how to be in the water, how to be safe, how to enjoy it, how to be healthy, how to like thrive in bodies of water. And it didn't just have to be the pools. Like I was in Belize last year teaching these amazing women that I met how to like be comfortable it was quite choppy. It was like storm-ish season. And so we were in the middle of a storm. Like it was coming in and then it kind of took a break.
Swimming in that kind of water. Oh my God.
Fantastic.
So invigorating.
Yes. Like you're just constantly moving and you're flowing with the water and it's like moving you. But I didn't realize it was so powerful in its healing properties. And I will never forget, I got to the resort, and I like put my stuff down, immediately put my suit on, ate some food, and like went into the ocean. And I just started having a moment of like gratitude. And I was just like saying, I don't even know where it came from, but I'm like, you know, thank you for my healing me. Thank you for this space, right? Like, and I just went on this, it was probably like 20 minutes long moment of gratitude for everything that was happening. And what was hilarious was like the next evening, I had met a couple of people at that point, and they all said, we were worried about you.
Right.
Because you were just in the water by yourself. And I said, oh, there was nothing to worry about. Like, I was fine. I was having a moment with the ocean, and the ocean was having a moment with me.
That's right. Yeah.
And it just, and so even like, I think with the water pieces that were like the healing, the plant life, the like health and wellness, like all of these different things that we're going to dive into in our series. You know, funny thing, I had for the past 3 years readings done, and 3 years ago I was like having a conversation, and she was like, you need to be by a body of water. You need to be like by a body of water that you can be in. And then I'm in Belize, and I have a reading done, a tarot reading done, and every single one of my cards had water in it. And then I meet you, and now we're having this like
And
journey.
guess what?
Hmm.
Guess what? So I only recently started a practice of drawing tarot cards every day. Ace of Cups came up again. But
Again.
hang on, I'm not finished. Guess what else came up today?
What's that? The Queen of Cups.
You can't make this stuff up, can you? You
No,
really can't.
y'all. So, like, what was it? Like a couple of days ago, when I first started talking to you about like what in the world is happening in my brain while I'm sleeping, and the cups, like the Ace of Cups, yes, was pulled up again.
Frozen on my screen.
Oh no, me too. Is technology being rank? I can still hear you.
Oh,
She's
we're
back.
back.
We're back. Okay. Okay. It was my internet connection. I think we've been having some like, oddly enough, some like storm action happening here. So
Right.
if you're in
Interesting.
anywhere near Texas or in Texas, we don't have, we have like slow variations. It's like we randomly have these mists. It's not rain, it's like a mist. It's very annoying. And then we have just torrential downpours.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So thank y'all for working with us in our technological journey. But it was, so you pulled the Ace of Cups, yeah, like that was what, a couple of
And the
days
Queen of
ago.
Cups.
And the
Oh,
Queen.
sorry. Yes. Yes. When you were
Yes.
talking. Yes.
Yes. And you know, I think that it's just like this reminder. And I think that's the piece that I appreciate the most whenever we get into our conversations. And it's this like organic, fluid conversation that when we leave, there's usually like this agitation of energy in a very good
Yes.
way,
But not,
right?
but not, yeah, I was going to say, not
Yeah.
unsettling.
No.
Energizing.
Yes. Yes. It's just, it starts to flow and happen. And then it's like an idea is said, and you know, you're texting me, and then like I'm leaving you a voice message, and the voice message is exactly what you've texted me. And then we have to like flip back, right? And so um that is our journey throughout this whole water series. And it's we're going to have topics that we cover, of course, and there's going to be like amazing mic drop moments of knowledge, energy, education, healing, but also like we're just gonna have fun.
Can I just add one
Please,
thing? Because
please.
it feels like we're doing a wrap up of this first one.
Yeah.
And that is in terms of wellness, whenever I've had people ask me, for advice or tips, the very first thing I let them know is you need to drink clean
Mm,
water and lots of it,
hmm.
because that is the foundation of
Mm,
health. That's where you have to start. You have to start with water.
hmm. And we did talk about this, right? And like I shared a little bit about where I live here in Austin and the water issues. And it's not just in Austin, it's all around Texas. Um, the issues that we have with our water here. And it's not just in Texas, right? Like it's all over. If you talk about Detroit, Flint, you can talk about down in Mississippi now. Like you can talk about all of these different areas in the US. And I know I told you when we first met, I was like, oh, I need to come to New Zealand. Like it's like the place to be, right? And you're like, really?
Yeah.
Like, are you sure?
Okay.
Like I can tell you of a couple other places that I've visited that may or may not be better opportunities for you. And I'm like, no, you don't understand, like my public health heart, I've done all this research and New Zealand is like the place. And I just like I appreciate uh your feedback in this reality moment, right? And like I'm relating this back to I was like, you need clean water, Natalie. And I was like, I have a Brita filter. And you were like, if you don't throw that literally out the window immediately, trash it tomorrow, today, in this moment. It's just this like realization, right, of like what we think is, and I'm talking about like clean water, right? And but I'm also using this like metaphorically because I feel like on a healing and health journey, you get all of these like experts and these fad moments of what you should be doing and how you should be doing this and what is best for you. And I don't know that I've seen one fad or one diet or one anything that's like drink good clean water all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not.
And I just realized the thing I didn't share with you that I
Mm,
should have, and
please,
sorry,
no,
I
please.
forgot. So if you don't have access to good clean water, you've just got your tap water, then a really simple thing you can do is re-energize your water by
Mm,
adding some, like, pink Himalayan salt or sea salt. So, good salt, not the crap salt, the
yeah.
good salt. If you just add a little bit of that into your glass of water, like, add a pinch in there
Mhm.
and stir it around, and you'll see that the water looks happier, right? So
Mm,
you're re-energizing the water by doing that.
mm,
So even if you haven't got access to, if you've only got tap water to work with,
yeah.
I would say that start that practice of just adding a pinch of salt into your glass of water every time you have water.
Mm, okay.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And I know that I said like, yeah, we're doing something a little different. And like the intro is only going to be like 30 minutes and then we'll just like end there. But um, I have learned that the conversation ends when it's supposed to. And this was like, I hadn't planned on how I was going to quote unquote interview you, right? And like, I also want all of the listeners to understand that there is so much that we have to share in this series, and just in the water segment, because whether it's learning how to do urban farming, pot pot gardening, things like that I've experienced, or doing this gut health reset, that there's like so many other things that I know we're going to be sharing about with that, and all of these different aspects of true like internal healing as well as external healing.
Well, the other thing is, you have shared your own wisdom on this, whether you realized it or not.
Mm,
So when you were in the waters and full of gratitude and thanking for the healing, that is something else that is a good practice to have
mm,
with your water, is to give it love, right?
yeah.
Before you drink it, because it actually responds to that. And there are Saro Emoto, I think I've got the name right. Again, it can go into the notes, and also Veda Austin,
Mm-hmm.
who's a Kiwi, and her work is amazing, but we'll go into that another time.
Yeah.
Uh, they have shown that water is it's a intelligent substance, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't even feel right calling it a substance
It's a
because
being.
it's a living energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So give your water love before you
Mm.
drink it. That will also help, along with a little bit of salt. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think just to like reflect back to that experience in the water, I feel like it was Michael Phelps who has battled autism, right? Not battled, but lived with it. And I feel like it was a quote that he said, and it was something about like being submerged in water, and you close out the noise because it's just you in that space, right? And if you have on goggles or a mask of some sort, right, it's you and this like infinite being. um and I've always said to anyone I'm teaching, if you fight the water, it will win.
Yeah.
End
Yeah.
end of statement. If you fight it, it will win. But if you work with it, if you flow with it, and if you give it the respect that it deserves, you will flow, you will enjoy, you will float, you will move gracefully through this massive being. And right, like even be able to teach someone how to be comfortable in water, right? It's still that gratitude space.
Well, how do you be comfortable in water? You have to let go,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to really let go. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't let go, you're not going to float.
Yeah. Yeah. And oh my gosh. And I didn't even like, there's all of these revelation moments that I typically have when we're having these conversations. And we've been talking about like going with the flow, organically, evolving in conversations, navigating transformation. And all of these years, it didn't even faze me that I was like holding this knowledge of how to be in water, which is like going with the flow, letting go, being like respectful of this thing that you're
Yes.
involved in, right? And being thankful, right? Like getting your mentality, your mindset in the right frame to be in that body. And then having this moment now of reflection of like, I was teaching people how to do that, but I don't know if
Yeah.
I was listening to myself.
Yeah, right. That's always the case.
I think
Just like a builder whose house is never finished.
it's you said this last night when we were talking, and I forget what you were telling me, but you were like, stop searching for something that you already have within yourself.
Yeah.
And I feel like, oh man, if that is not a powerful moment of to like wrap this up, in my mind, I needed to find this thing, this group, this community, this cohort, whatever it was. And your statement was like, stop looking for it. You already have it. And we went on for like another 45 minutes of like, oh my gosh, you've got to be shitting me. Like, she's right. Like, like I literally am dusting these things off that I've just kind of like done and put away and like said, oh, maybe one day or something like that. I've talked myself out of it. But the part you said that I felt like she really gets it, you're like, I am a reflection of what I'm saying to you. I'm a mirror of what I'm telling you. Like, this is for me too, just as much as it is for you. And I feel like this series is as much for us as it is for everyone that's listening. Like,
Exactly.
it's just, yeah, I am like so excited about every single one of these episodes. I'm like, we've mapped them out. We've planned what we're going to talk about. But I have to tell y'all, I can't promise that we will stay on topic because
No. And I was just going to say, and we didn't plan what we were wearing beforehand.
no,
It just so happens that we are color coordinated.
oh my gosh. And when we were, okay, I promise this is my last moment, but when we were supposed to be recording like last week, and you came on screen and you were like decked out head to toe, at least I think head to toe, in like these variations of blue.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
And
because it was Jupiter's day. Today it's Mars's day. That's why I'm in red.
mm,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't even know how the pink and red, it just happened to be a thing, and then you're in black and red. And I know everyone isn't always going to be able to see us, but this is going to be interesting.
Yes,
This is going to be interesting. Oh my gosh. Thank you for letting me interview you.
Thank you for having me on the podcast because I'm really looking forward to where we're going to go.
Yeah. I hope that everyone that is listening, like, this is going to be it. This is the water series, even from the other guests that are going to join us, whether it's collectively with Leanne and I, or it's another opportunity to learn, share, heal, grow, and transform. That is the water series. It is fluid. It is fun. It is a moment.
Flowing with grace.
What's that?
Flowing with grace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I highly, highly recommend tuning back in with us every week for the next 5 weeks. Leanne and I are going to be diving into health, wellness, transformation, authenticity. Oh gosh, tapping into your superpowers. Like, that is going to be one of my favorite, I think. I don't know. They're all going to probably be my favorite, but please join us, tune in, and thank you so much for being here today, Leanne. And I can't wait to do this again next week.
Thank you. Can I add a real Salmon exclamation just
Please
to underline?
give
Right.
it up. Yeah.
Ooh.
Do it again so we can hear it.
Mm.
You know what's so interesting?
What?
We're not getting the first part.
Oh, interesting. You're just getting the who, not the chi.
Mm-hmm.
Zoom. Don't you love Zoom?
I know. And as you were saying it the second time, now my fingers are all tingly. Thank you, Leanne.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. Okay, everyone, thank you so much again. We will see you again next week. And thank you for joining Tea, Coffee, Water.